So hello guys, and welcome to another video. And recently, I finished Mario & Luigi Brothership, and it's an absolutely incredible game. And I'm currently working on my review as well as a boss ranking, but in the meantime, I want to rank the battle plugs, since that's my favorite new battle mechanic in the game. Because they're essentially this game's version of badges, kind of building off of both the Mario & Luigi series badges, as well as the Paper Mario badges to a degree. I've kind of found some similarities in both. And it's just an excellent mechanic overall, and one of my favorite Mario RPG battle mechanics. I'd say, like, right behind the badges from 64 and Thousand Year Door. So I'm actually going to rank them in a similar fashion to how I rank the Thousand Year Door badges, where I kind of gauge them based on how useful they are in combat. And then I'm gonna also rank a couple off to the side in the gimmick category, the ones that don't fit. There aren't very many of them, but there are a couple. And this is also an updated version of a video that I posted earlier, but I realized that there were a lot of mistakes, and some of the plugs were kind of incorrect that I ranked. Like, I kind of gave the incorrect descriptions of them. And I feel like that's partially due to the fact that the game doesn't really describe them very well, so I kind of misused them when I actually used them in Brothership, or barely used them at all. So with the knowledge of how they work now, I feel like I can give a better ranking now, but let's go ahead and get started. So the first one we have here is Wait a Minute, and this basically is kind of like Rally Link from Thousand Year Door and gives you an extra move for either Mario and Luigi, and I would definitely say this goes in S tier. I think that's an excellent plug, and it works pretty well. It's definitely good for, like, bosses and things. Like, you could heal and then attack, or attack twice, use two bros attacks. I think that's great. Definitely a very good move there. And the next one is Auto Luigi, and that's the first one that I got wrong in the first version of this video. And it actually gives Luigi, like, an extra thing. It doesn't make Luigi automatic. I assumed that it did, because there are a lot of RPGs that have a feature that automatically controls a party member for you, or automatically does things for you. So I assumed it was that. There technically is one plug that does something like that, but I'll get to that in a little bit. But it does help. It just, like, helps Luigi a little bit, does something like either an extra attack or finds an item or something. So, it's okay. C tier, I would say. Not bad, but I feel like it could have done a little more here. Just the name is kind of misleading, because the name makes you think that it automatically controls Luigi, but it does do something other than that. So the next one is Countdown the Charge. And this basically, it's like a timer that goes down, like, by each turn. And once it goes down to 0, it replenishes your, like, other plugs that you have equipped up to 50%. I think it's, like, good in some areas, especially if it's combined with other plugs, like a couple of the ones that I'm gonna mention. But at the same time, I feel like it could have been a little better, like, if it, like, I guess if it, replenished, like, all of them. I mean, I guess that would have been a little broken, but I don't know. With the recharge badges, it does take, like, a little while for them to kind of, like, happen, unless you have, like, a speedy recharge. But yeah, I think C tier for this one. And then Charge Bank, I feel like this one, honestly, is B tier, because, like, it can actually work with some pretty broken plugs, like the, Protectus, or Wait a Minute, and different ones like that. I think that one could be pretty good. Especially, like, I definitely found some use for it with Protectus, with the, one of the Monster Mania battles where you fight against the insta-kill bob-ombs. That was really helpful there. And Speedy Recharge, I ranked this one lower before, but honestly, I think this deserves B tier. Because this can be useful in a lot of areas, like when you have some pretty powerful badges that you want to recharge more quickly. And combined with like other badges, like if you have like count down the recharge with this one, this could definitely be a lot better, I would say. So yeah, I think speedy recharge. I think I did rank that a little lower before, so I think it deserves B tier. And the next two, Coin Piler and Loot Booster, those both go in Gimmick, I would say. Um, I think they're about equal, because coins, you can buy new gear and things and items, and then loot, it's good for crafting, and also items as well. So I think both of those belong, like, in Gimmick, I would say. I mean, yeah, you do get things that will help you in battle, but at the same time, like with my 1,000-Year Door badge ranking, I kind of ranked ones that did, like, ones that only kind of gave you things in, like, a similar tier. So, yeah, I didn't really rank those with the rest of the combat badges. So the next one is Spirited Item. And I think this one could be good in some cases, like especially if you have it combined with like item share, where it kind of gives one to like either like the other bro as well. So yeah, I think like this one could definitely be good in some cases, I would say. I'm thinking maybe like B tier. Maybe a little below speedy recharge. But yeah, since this could be kind of like combined with like some effects, like I said, like the item share, I think that can be pretty good. And then the item share, I would say for this one, honestly, I would say A tier, because I'm not sure, I forgot how I ranked it last time, but for this one, it could basically, like, if you need, you don't have to waste like a nut to use like the items. You could use like max, or you could use like max candy on both pros, and I think that's pretty good. I think that definitely works pretty well. So yeah, I think that one could be pretty good. And boomerang items, actually I'm gonna rank this one next. I would say like combined with other plugs, it could be extremely useful. But since it doesn't, like, impact you, like, immediately, I would have to say maybe, like, B tier. But it's still very good. Like, especially, like I said, with the example of, like, Max Candy and different ones like that. Or 1-Up DX. That could be very good. So, yeah. And then, Second Helping. I think this one could be pretty good at times as well. I wouldn't say it's as useful as the previous two. But maybe this one still kind of belongs in B tier. Maybe like a little above Spirited Item, because you could use it like with you don't have to waste some of your more expensive items, I would say, for that, like Max Candy or different ones like that, or Max Nut. You could use like a kind of like a smaller item, actually combined with like item share. I think that would be very good at times. But as it stands, I feel like on its own, it's definitely B tier, but with the potential of using it with other plugs, I think it definitely can be pretty good at times. And Countdown the Crush, this one, it's a good one to have, but I feel like it can be a bit limited, like, because it does have the countdown and then recharge and everything. So if you really want to make the most out of this, you kind of have to grind the timer down before like a boss or something. Or also like that one Monster Mania mission where you have to like knock out all of the enemies at once. So it can be good at times, but I don't think it's as useful as some of the others. So I think like C tier is fine for this one. And then Auto Heal. This one, I feel like this one also kind of belongs in C tier, I would say. It can be, like, it does fully heal you, which is very good. But like I said, it still has the limitation of taking up, like, a lot of turns, and then, like, recharging again. So I think that's kind of what holds that one back. But yeah, the next one is Auto Mushroom. And previously, I ranked this one in D tier, because, like, if you... like, I thought you weren't able to kind of, like, upgrade it at all, or weren't able to use it with, like, super mushrooms, ultra mushrooms, and different things like that. But since Deluxe Auto can do that, it can, like, actually allow you to use, like, those, like, stronger items. I think, like, this one is C tier, I would say. Because, I mean, yes, it does rely on that badge to be better, or not badge, but plug to be better. But it still can be pretty good, like, when combined with that. So, yeah, and the same goes for, like, Syrup Jar as well. Actually, I mean, yeah, I think it would be a little lower than Auto Mushroom, but I still think it can be pretty good. Like, when, you're using, like, the Deluxe Auto. Actually, I'll go ahead and rank Deluxe Auto here. I would say that one is probably, like B tier, I would say. Actually, you know what? I'll put it in A tier, just because it, like, kind of, elevates, like, the items so much, I would say. So, that one could definitely be pretty good. Auto Herb. I think, like, this one, I mean, yeah, it can be useful at times, but, I know I did rank it above the mushroom in Syrup Jar last time. You know what? Since there are so many, like, statuses in this game and, like, status effects and everything, and if you want to worry, if you're more worried about, like, healing Mario and Luigi, and you don't want to worry about dealing with the status effects as well, I think this one can be B tier. And then Auto Ant Berry, this one's even better, I would say, because Ant Berries are kind of, like, somewhat limited, and it is one of the most prevalent statuses in the status effects in the game. So I'd actually say that one's a little better. But yeah, and then Auto 1-Up, I would say this one is probably, and it can have the effect of 1-Up DX when combined with, like, the Deluxe Auto. So I'd have to say maybe, like, a little below, actually, I would say basically tied with Auto Ant Berry, I would say. I would definitely say that's pretty good. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I might want to rank Countdown the Recharge a little lower. I mean, yeah, you can combine it with, like, Speedy Recharge and things, but I don't know. I think, like, Charge Bank is, like, a better kind of version if you want to kind of make more use out of some of your badges, because, or not badges, plugs. Sorry, I apologize that I keep calling them badges, because this is they are basically badges, but, like, with a recharge system. But with Countdown the Recharge, yeah, I think that one is kind of more situational. If it charged your equipped badges to 100%, it would be, I would say, would be in B tier, I would say. But since it only does it, like, up to half, I think that does make them a little more limited, especially some of, like, the plugs that only have, like, a couple charges on them. But yeah. And the next one is Ouch Charge. And basically, this allows you to kind of charge up your next attack to, like, be double as powerful if you get hit a certain amount of times. And this does depend on you getting hit. So I don't know. Like, I think there are better badges, or better plugs, I would say, for kind of, like, allowing you to attack better and kind of, like, charge up your attacks a little more. I think it makes this one a little limited, especially if you're trying to take as little damage as possible. So I don't know. I think I ranked this a little too high last time. I think D tier is fine, unless I'm missing something about this. It's only one charge, which I guess makes sense, since it's, like, kind of like a one-time thing. It does only take 5 turns to recharge. So I don't know. I don't know about this one. It's just, Just for okay, for some people, I can understand if they rank this higher, like in C tier, or maybe even B tier for some people, but with my playstyle, I'm trying to take as little damage as possible, so, I don't know, I think, I guess it's kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of similar to, like, how I feel about, like, Pity Flower in Thousand Year Door, so it's, like, I'm not really the biggest fan of, like, badges, or I guess plugs in this case, that rely on you taking damage. For some people it could be fine, but it's just personally not for me. So the next one is Not Droppin', and this one is another S tier, I would say. This one could be extremely useful for some boss fights, especially one like Lone Pipe Gunk, which are, like, pretty powerful. Honestly, I would say Gloam Pipe Gunk is, like, even harder than the final boss, I would say, just in my opinion. So, yeah, I think that one belongs in S tier. Just the fact that you still stay alive after, getting, like, an attack that would normally knock you out. So, yeah, I think that one could be pretty good at times. It does take 30 recharges, but I think it's good enough to, like, the benefits are good enough to outweigh the costs in this scenario. So, I think it still belongs in S tier. And then, Sure-Footed Guard, this one is another good one, since Trip and Dizzy are some of the most common statuses in the game. And honestly, this one kind of trivializes the auto herb a little bit, which I guess is why I haven't ranked at the bottom of B tier. So this one is definitely A tier, I would say. This is one that I had equipped quite a lot, because there are quite a lot of enemies that can trip you. So, yeah, I mean, even, like, wasn't there, you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but wasn't there, like, some sort of change in this game where it made it less likely for you to trip if an enemy attacks you from behind? If that's the case, even then, I still think it's good. It's, like, getting tripped is still a prevalent thing that can happen in this game, like any Mario and Luigi game. So I think it's pretty good. In Temperature Guard, this one is more situational, but it can be extremely useful in, like, some parts of the game, like the third C, I would say, and especially, like, when you're fighting against, like, Pipe Gunk or Magmads and Ice Ads. So I would say maybe, like, since it is situational, but very good when it works, I'll put it at the top of C tier, I would say. Like I said, very good when it works, but at the same time, there isn't that much use for it at times. And the next one is Gloam Guard, and since Gloam is very prevalent in the game, and can be very annoying when it happens, I'd have to say this one would go in, I'm thinking, like, and then you wouldn't need an Ant Berry, you would save your Ant Berry. I would say maybe, like, A tier for this one. Like, kind of teetering between A and B tier, because, like, I think Gloam is a tiny bit less prevalent than getting tripped or dizzy, but still is very important. And then, like, at the same time, like, the herbs only have a 50% chance of healing it. So I would say, like, A tier for that one, in my opinion. And then Back At Ya attack. This one can be very good at times, since, like, in bosses and things, it allows you to get, like, an extra turn, like, if you get hit. Yes, I know I said it can be, like, annoying when using, like, a badge or plug in this instance. That is annoying, or that you have to get hit to use and everything, like, if you're trying to take as little hits as possible. But, like, since this only has 3 charges, it just gives you, like, allows you to get an extra boost in if you get, like, hit a couple times. Especially if this, like, this doesn't depend on the damage that you take. If you get hit at all, it allows you to, like, attack the enemy. So, for that, I'm putting this in A tier. I think it could be very good. Maybe a little below the item-based ones, but still very good. And the next one, is one that I think is very good, specifically because of this is a Mario and Luigi game. If this was a badge in a Paper Mario game, this would probably be pretty low. But since Mario and Luigi kind of emphasizes, like, countering and dodging the enemy's attacks, I think this one is very good. So, easy peasy counters. Like, I mean, yeah, you can get used to, like, the counters and everything, but I still think this one is, like, it still belongs in B tier, I would say. It could definitely be pretty good at times. Especially against, like, some bosses that have some really difficult counters and dodges, like, some very difficult attacks. And then, in power counters, if you get good at countering, which you will probably do since this is a 40-hour game, this one can be very helpful, I would say. Maybe even more helpful than those two guard ones. So, yeah, I think this one could be, like, pretty good at times. Like, especially against, like, the bosses. I'm gonna bring this one up again. I know I keep bringing up this example, but, Pipe Gunk. When you're fighting, like, I guess, like, the normal version of Pipe Gunk, kind of like at the beginning of the boss, you can chip away quite a lot of its health when it does some of those easy attacks as a counter. The next one, Damage Shield, I would say that's another A tier, I would say. Like, because especially since this one has 10 charges, it can be pretty good. Like, it can last a little while in some, like, fights and boss fights and everything. So, yeah, I think that one is usually a good one to have equipped. That is one that I almost always had equipped if I had it available. So, Damage Shield, definitely good. I know 20% doesn't sound like a ton, but it can make a difference at times, especially with some of the more powerful enemies in the game. What's even better is Protectus. Protectus instantly goes into S tier, I would say. Even above not dropping, I would say. Because I think, like, this one kind of carried me through the Monster Mania mission with the Bob-ombs, since it, like, completely shielded me from the, like, the one-shot attacks. So since it, like, completely shields you from all damage, I think that could be pretty good, I would say. And especially combined with, Charge Bank, it could be kind of broken, I would say. And the next one we have here is Auto Excellent. This one, I'm not too crazy about. I did use it sometimes when I needed to clear out some enemies with a powerful bros attack that I wasn't that good at yet. But this one, I think, like, it's kind of, like, in a similar camp to, like, the badges in Paper Mario that kind of, like, helped you with, like, certain, like, moves and everything. I think it's like the one that helped you with, like, the stylish moves in Paper Mario, like the timing tutor. I know that was just for stylish, but this one, yes, it is it is a little more useful than, like, something like that, and also, like, doesn't completely make everything automated. It only does it for attacks, but once you get the attacks down, I think, like, Auto Excellent isn't, like, super useful, I would say, just in my opinion. Especially since it doesn't give you any boost, it really just helps you with the action commands, which you can practice in the menu. So, yeah, I really only use this one if I was, like, playing the game, like, late at night and I was just tired and I didn't really feel like trying to get Conductor Connector exactly right. So, I don't know. I'm sorry. I think this one is D tier, honestly. I'm not really a fan of it, just because, like, I feel like it's better to actually learn the bros attacks and kind of get used to them and everything. So, I don't know. I mean, like, I guess in just some scenarios, if you're just tired and you want it to, automatically do the bros attack for you, I guess that's fine in that instance, but yeah, just in my opinion, I didn't really, like, have that much use for that. So yeah, the next one is Anti-Gloam Specialist. And since gloam enemies are very prevalent in the game, I would have to say maybe, like, B tier for this one. The specialist ones, like, since they are situational, I'm not going to rank them quite as high as some of the other ones that, like, directly kind of impact the combat and everything, or directly impact your moves. So I think I'm going to go ahead and rank the other ones. Anti-flying, I would say that's a little higher. I would say probably around here. Still B tier. I don't want to rank the specialist ones too high. And then anti-army specialist and Zocket, I would put those in C tier because they are more situational. Like, even though the Zocket enemies appear quite a lot in the game, I still think, like, it isn't until, like, a certain point in the game, and then after that point, like, they don't show up quite as much. And then there's also, like, a certain other type of enemy. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's the one that shows up at the very end of the game. And it clearly is an enemy type, but it doesn't work with the anti-Zocket badge, and I don't think it either works with the anti-gloom badge as well, or plug. Sorry that I keep calling them badges, but I don't think it works with the anti-gloom one as well, because they aren't gloom enemies, and I don't even think they inflict gloom. So, yeah, I think it's a bit weird that there isn't a plug for those ones. You'll know what I'm talking about if you're towards the end of the game. I guess it kind of makes sense why there isn't a plug for it, because they only show up in, like, technically one dungeon, but they are a very prevalent enemy in that dungeon, but yeah, I don't know. And then anti-spike specialist, I'm gonna put this one, like, a little below, or I guess maybe tied with the anti-gloom one, because it really seemed like there were less spiked enemies than I thought. So yeah, there were a decent amount, but it was useful when I had it available. So yeah. And the next one is Bros Boost. And this one basically allows you to kind of get a boost in attack power for your bros attacks, but it does take up more BP. It takes up double the BP, but it does 20% of the damage. I don't think that balances out completely. I think they should have made it a little more powerful. Actually, no, I got that wrong. It increases the BP spent by 10%. I thought it was double. Sorry about that. I got that wrong. Yeah, I think this one could be in B tier, I would say. I thought it took up double the BP. I was kind of wrong about that. It only takes up 10%. So, actually, you know what? That actually pays off pretty well. Because, like, it is, like, a higher damage output compared to, like, the BP spent. But if you are conserving BP, this isn't the best badge. So, or best plug, I meant. So, yeah, I think B tier is fine for this one. And performance bonus. This one, it basically restores 50% of your BP if you get an excellent rating. It's good, but the only problem is that it has 3 charges. So that is just a little limiting and disappointing, I would say. So for that, like, I really didn't have that much use for it because it only had 3 charges, and there were better ways of replenishing BP, since you had things like the item share and different things like that, and like second helping and things. So yeah, honestly, I think I might put this in C. It's just like I didn't have like that much use for it. I'd rather get like the extra attack power in, honestly. In the next ones, I'm gonna rank these together. We have like the fire attack and icy attack. And these ones could be good at certain points, like if you're fighting against like an elemental enemy and you want to like ice on like a fire enemy or fire on like an icy enemy. Those could be pretty good. And there's also like a Monster Mania mission that basically is broken if you use the fire status, since it basically takes away a chunk of their health every time you use it. Like, it takes like 10,000 damage, which is crazy. So, yeah, I think this can be, and also combined with Kaboom Attack, these can be pretty good. So I think I was a little harsh on them on the first version of this video. So honestly, I think I'm going to put those in B tier. You know, B tier is looking a bit crowded. So I think I might put, you know what, I might put one of these items in A tier, or one of these plugs in A tier. I would say maybe Boomerang item can go at the bottom of A tier. Like I did say before that it doesn't like impact you immediately, but if you use it like on a 1-up DX or like Ant Berry or any of those other like very useful items, I think that could be very good if you're trying to conserve items. So yeah, I think that one kind of belongs in A tier. And the next one is the attack boost. This is another S tier, I would say. Like, especially combined with, like, Kaboom Attack, which I'm gonna talk about in a little bit. Or, like, a lot of the other, ones that kind of, like, boost your attack power and things. Also, like, I forgot to mention, these, like, elemental or status-based, like, attacks also boost your attack, which I forgot to mention before. So, I think these can definitely be pretty good, especially combined with this one. Then Kaboom Attack, this one is definitely pretty goated, I would say. This one definitely belongs in S tier as well. Because, one, you could stack it, kind of like the badges in 64 and 1000 Year Door. Actually, could you stack the badges in 64? I forgot about that. I know you can in 1000 Year Door. I'm more familiar with 1000 Year Door's badge system. But, you can stack it with another Kaboom Attack, which makes it more powerful. It does like 2 shockwaves. And you can also combine it with any of the status-based plugs. So that can definitely be pretty useful there, where it basically kind of can inflict those statuses on like all the enemies, or you could at least have a higher chance of inflicting it on at least one of the enemies. Then another one that you can stack is the Surprise Iron Ball. Another one that's going in S tier as well. Because like I said, you can stack it, and you could also combine it with Kaboom Attack as well. And it also ignores defense. Which, like, at first it seems like, Spiked Iron Ball, that kind of seems like a random gimmick that would just have, like, an extra little bit of, like, damage on the enemy. But, no, it can actually be pretty useful at times. Like, on certain bosses, or enemies, or, like, the Monster Mania missions that have a very high defense, like, this could be very good, I would say. And it could basically do an extra attack if you have, like, another Spiked Iron Ball with it. Like, the amount of damage is almost equivalent to another attack. So, that is definitely a pretty good one, I would say. And the next one is the Dizzy Attack. Or the Dizzyifying Attack, to be precise. And I think this one is a little more effective than the Fire and Icy one, I would say, because it can work and be more effective on more enemies, I would say. It doesn't limit yourself if you're like fighting against like the elemental type enemies. And I've kind of noticed that this one is more effective. So it seems like there's more utility for this one, especially combined with like a Boom Attack. So I would say this one is A tier, I would say. It can be very good at times. And then finally, we have Seedalize, which is another kind of broken one. It can take quite a while to get this one, since you have to go through a lot of side quests to get to it. I didn't even get to it until towards the end of the game. So you might miss out on this one until like very late in the game, and I think you won't really get it until very late in the game as well. So for that, I feel like it's kind of a similar idea to how I ranked All or Nothing with the 1000 Year Door badge video, where it's a very good plug, but you probably won't get it until very late in the game. I mean, it kind of makes sense because it is broken, but I think A tier is good for this one, because it basically, if you're fighting against some powerful enemies, it doesn't work on bosses, but if you're fighting some really powerful enemies, it basically trivializes them, especially if you use it with Kaboom Attack. And like I said, it does have a chance that it will work, but I think the fact that it's so broken kind of like outweighs that fact. But yeah, I would say this is my ranking of the plugs. Um, I was kind of misunderstood with some of them before, but I got a better idea of them and kind of ranked them a bit better this time. So I apologize about how that last video was a bit misleading and everything. I just didn't know, because I didn't use some of the badges that much, or was kind of misled by the descriptions. Or in the case with Deluxe Auto, I tried to use it, but I didn't know that, like, you had to use it with, like, another kind of auto badge. And it had a different effect than I was thinking. Like, actually allowing it to give you a better item for that. So it definitely is way more useful than I thought it was. So yeah, I would say this is probably my definitive ranking of the plugs for now. Like, so without the misunderstandings and everything, I kind of have an idea here. For some of these, you might rank them a bit higher than I did for some of them, like especially some of them in D tier. Those are just ones that I didn't particularly find useful for my specific playstyle, but if you found them to be more useful, that is perfectly fine. I respect your opinion. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Blue Sky and Discord server if you want to. Goodbye.